This is the Parental Playbook Podcast. We help parents stay connected with their student athletes through dynamic communication. And we are joined by a very special guest today. Connor Gorman, the head coach of the Hampton School hockey team, joins us with a very special podcast interview. Connor, what a pleasure to see you, my friend. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's get right into it, man. First of all, what's it like coming back to New Hampton, a place where you became a legend and now you're the head hockey coach, man? You got a new rink there. You got a lot of new stuff on campus. I mean, it must be almost like a dream come true.
Legend. That's a nice word for you to use. Thank you. This is, they say things happen in your life that come full circle. And this is truly kind of the epitome of that, right? I came to New Hampton for 2 years. Parents sacrificed a lot for me to be here, both time and financial resources. And, I did my part when I came here, both in the classroom and on the ice and on the playing field. So to come back and to give back to a school that meant so much to me and honestly changed my life, to be honest with you. I wasn't going down a bad path, but I think I didn't care enough about school. And I don't think I worked as hard in sports as I thought I really was until I came here and you're around like-minded people. So it's been unbelievable. I'm a teacher here as well. So for those teachers out there listening, I don't make a ton of money, but I'm rich in other ways. It's been amazing. My wife lives here with me, and we love our life. So it's amazing to be an alum.
And Connor, talk a little bit about that for me too, because it's like family at New Hampton. I remember Malcolm telling me one night that he was having trouble in math class and the math teacher invited him over for dinner. And then after dinner, they were going to study. And I was like, wow, this is different. But everybody approaches the educational process in the prep school atmosphere in that same way. And that must be a special feeling.
Yeah, that is probably one of my favorite parts about my job across the board, right? And one of my coworkers now, who was actually my dorm parent and my English teacher when he just got out of college and I was a senior, I was 18, he was probably 23, he got the Teacher of the Year award a few years ago. And in his speech, he talked about how he never went to prep school and he was a public school kid. And when you see your teacher in public school in the grocery store, you turn and run the other way. School, you say, Dad, Mom, that's my teacher. And you go and you say, what up? And to your point about Malcolm, like that is something that happens all the time. I mean, I have my students come over and we'll do a study session, or when I'm on dorm duty, they'll swing by the common room. One thing that my wife and I do, we have all the players on my hockey team come over. We cook a senior dinner for them. Like, oh, nice. I'm not saying that other schools don't do this or public schools, that doesn't happen at all, but I just think that it's the norm here. You get very, very close with your teachers, and you learn a lot about each other, which I think there's a lot of vulnerability. There's a lot of humility involved in that. And I just think that's, we have 340 kids on campus, which is a good amount, but not a ton. But about 90% of our faculty live on campus. So I walk my dog and I see some of my players and, I can see if they're down, right? Or if they're up or whatever it may be. And maybe not in that moment am I like, hey, come here, let's talk. But I might finish walking the dog, give that player a call and say, hey man, just saw you walking by yourself. You look a little beat up. I'm here for you if you need me. Yeah. I might not see that, if I'm teaching at a public school where I go home, also off campus.
And those connections matter. They really do. They really do. And for full disclosure, for you folks watching out there, my son Malcolm and Connor played together at New Hampton, had a great run. Your last year there, you guys went to the finals. You guys had a talented team that year. I mean, and see, now here's the other thing I want to talk about is the atmosphere, right? Because all these kids playing hockey around the country are playing for these clubs, and there's only parents in the stands. But I remember busloads of you guys from New Hampton School going down for the finals, to watch the game. And you're part of a community, which is such a different experience than just, playing for one of these travel teams where you're in some rink in some odd city and you don't know anybody in the stands except for your mom and the other parents on the team.
Totally. And I'll give you the coach answer. Every kid has a different path, and there's really no right or wrong path. But again, I think myself and you, we're a little biased towards the prep route because of our experiences. And when we were able to go to the New England finals, my senior year, Malcolm's freshman year, and you got buses of students going down to the Salem Ice Center. Like, that's special. And unfortunately for those listening, we did lose. It was a hell of a run.
I was going to bring that up.
I'll bring it up. Someone can Google it, right? So, but it at that point, I'm 29 years old. It doesn't matter whether we won or lost now, but it matters about the memories that we made as a team, that people were there. And I think what's really cool is, a Wednesday afternoon game against Kimball Union Academy at home that, you play really well in. You go to class at 8 a.m. the next morning and your math teacher was like, dude, I was at the game. Nice game. And that's cool. I think that's really cool where, maybe this travel hockey circuit where you're from Massachusetts like me or Georgia like you guys, and you're going to play in Detroit, where you go to school, you don't play for the high school team.
Right.
In Michigan, you're playing for Little Caesars or whoever, and they don't even, there's not brought up. There's a little, I think there's a little part of you missing in a way. But again, different strokes for different folks.
No doubt. No doubt. So let's talk a little bit about what we do here. We want to keep parents connected and supportive of their student athletes. We know how parents can get in the way because it'll go viral when we see parents behaving badly in rinks and on sidelines at football and lacrosse games. But I want to talk a little bit about how parents can be more supportive. So let's go back to that decision that you made to go to SUNY Plattsburgh. And for folks who don't know, if you're a hockey fan and you YouTube SUNY Plattsburgh hockey, you're going to see a full stadium. You're going to see energy. You're going to see what looks like an amazing time. Now, I'm familiar with the SUNY system, but I've never been to Plattsburgh, but I have seen the YouTube video.
Hike up there.
Yeah, it's a haul. But tell me, Connor, about that experience. And I assume you have no regrets because it looked like, man, what an atmosphere to play in.
Yeah. And just to backtrack a little bit, because it kind of coincides with how I ended up at Plattsburgh. My senior year, I earned a Division I scholarship to Providence College.
Yep.
I don't like to talk about this because I don't want it to be I could have gone Division I story, but I think for this content, it's important, right?
Sure.
So I earned a Division I scholarship, Hockey East to Providence College. Didn't have had a lot of guidance, but didn't know. I didn't have parents that played hockey. I was the first one ever. And long story short, to those listening, the whole coaching staff got fired that summer. And I was playing a year of junior hockey. I think the coaching staff there said something like, "We like you, but we don't love you." And that was pretty hard to hear, but I needed to hear it. And that's how I ended up going to Plattsburgh. I had another year of junior hockey eligibility. I didn't want to use it. I just kind of wanted to get going with my life. And, I got to go to a high level Division III school, a national contender. I played in front of, 2,200 fans a night. I was able to play lacrosse as well. So I played both sports, at the NCAA level, which was something I really wanted to do. So I have zero regrets. I met my wife there. Do I get to tell people I was a Division I athlete? No. But that didn't matter to me. I wanted to go somewhere where I was loved, valued. I played a ton. I was all conference 2 times, and I got to play pro hockey from that experience. So zero regrets.
Amen. And it's a great testimony because you did something that parents, are talking about now that almost seems taboo. You played multiple sports. Like, oh my God, we've got to focus on one sport. It's like, hold it. Wait a second. Your kid's 12. And he doesn't have to play hockey year round. Let him do something different. And I think we've gotten away from that just because parents are so focused on the shiny object on top of the hill. But you're an assistant lacrosse coach at New Hampton now. And I would assume when you're recruiting hockey players, you're looking for kids who can do more than just one thing, more than a one-trick pony.
Yeah. I mean, I could list 10 reasons off the top of my head of why playing multiple sports, both men or women, is important, right? And I think the biggest one is the burnout. And I understand that a parent may say, well, my son loves it, my daughter loves it. And I'm not saying that they don't, but what I'm saying is the burnout is real. And we'll use Malcolm as an example right now, right? He's playing minor pro hockey, making a living, being paid to play. There is pressure to perform. There's long road trips. 2 weeks of poor playing, you may be on the wire, right? There's a lot of pressure there. If you feel that pressure that Malcolm feels now as a 25, 26-year-old pro player when you're 16, 17, you might be doomed. And I know that sounds aggressive, but you got to put it into perspective a little bit. So for me, right, like I played 2 sports in college. I played 2 sports here at New Hampton. I really only played lacrosse during the spring season. I just, my blessings to God, I was athletic and good at lacrosse, but I didn't play a ton of it in the summer. In the summer, I did some hockey. I did a lot of, weight training and things like that. So when people hear multiple sports, I'm not saying it needs to be a 50-50 split.
Right.
I'm saying hockey can be a 10-month of the year thing. And then the 2 months spring season,
take a break. Yeah.
Get away. Because when you, I had a kid this year from Georgia on my team, a damn good hockey player, and he's playing JV lacrosse here. And I said, you're going to have a blast. Okay. You're going to love it. You're going to get away from hockey. You're going to have time to lift outside of your JV lacrosse schedule, because you have to sacrifice some things and you got to get off TikTok and Instagram and video games, right? You want to make it, you got to make time for it. I said, but you're going to get back to Georgia when you graduate on May 21st on a Saturday. And on Monday, May 23rd, you're going to be fired up, man, to get back on that ice because you missed it. If you skated all spring, it just becomes another skate.
Right.
Another lift.
I love it.
And that's just my mindset on it.
I love it. I'm right there with you. So how does a parent figure that out? How does a kid communicate that with a parent? Because when I look back on my life experiences and raising 2 boys who both played Division I sports, my older son played football at Howard University, and the communication process was awful, right? He cut us off. He wouldn't communicate with us, so we couldn't help him. Right. So that's where this was born for me, is to help parents stay connected to their kids so that they can support them. They can help them. They can understand when they're tired. They can understand when they need a month off, when they need 2 months off. They can understand when they're depressed. I don't know if you saw the sad story at Stanford University. The captain of the soccer team took her life because she was depressed about a possible disciplinary action against her. So parents need to stay connected, and they need to be able to communicate with their kids in a way that's, not confrontational, but supportive and understanding. And, as a coach, it would probably make your job easier. Right? Because you have understanding and supportive parents. But how do we, when you look at what your parents did for you, because the first thing you did was thank them for their support and their sacrifice. What do you think is the best thing a parent needs to know about being that supportive foundation and that pillar?
It's a good question, a loaded question. I would say right away, as all humans try to do, is try to make decisions based on your gut. Right? Try to be as cerebral as you can in a decision rather than just emotional about it. So I think my parents did a really good job of the TLC, the tender love and care, but also a little bit of the kick in the butt when I needed it. Right. So a very balanced approach with that. And when I was going through that Division I, Division III thing with me, I was definitely down. I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I definitely was in a state of, am I good enough? I had 2 players on my junior team end up going to Providence College. So right away, I'm sitting there comparing 2 players that aren't even in the same league or same age. They're on my team, right? So I definitely was going through it a little bit. And I think, my parents had a balanced approach of, hey, everyone has a different opinion, right? Like I'll steal this from a hockey coach I heard on a podcast. He said, some coaches like chocolate, some coaches like vanilla. You're trying to figure out which one they like, you're going to go crazy. So I really do think that balanced approach, it's a little bit of a vague answer, but I'm sticking to it because I have a lot of parents that I feel like smother their children. What is the reason behind that? I'm not sure, because I'm not that person and I'm not in that family. Is maybe a parent that never made it and they're living through their kid? Who knows? Right. Is it a parent that has spent thousands of dollars and they're looking for their return on investment and they're not getting it? And then to me, it all circles back to why we do sports in the first place, right? Why you took your boys to, and I'm making this up, the soccer field when they're kids. It seems like every kid starts with soccer. Right. Because you learn these lessons that you really can't learn elsewhere. And you could do it, arts, music, all those things. I'm talking about lessons of teamwork, communication amongst your peers, asking hard questions to someone who's superior than you, right? A coach or a boss or whatever it may be. So, kind of going on a tear here, but like, I think the best approach is a balanced approach and go with your gut. And if you really see your son or daughter struggling, you can see it in their affect, in their tone. That's probably when you need to step in.
Yeah, absolutely.
One bad game, one leaving the rink, leaving the recital with slouched shoulders, let it go sometimes, because they're just going through it a little bit. You can't micromanage that piece,
Absolutely. And I still struggle with it, from night to night when Malcolm, maybe he's not in the lineup. Maybe he doesn't play as well as he thought he should have played, or doesn't get as many shifts as he thought he should have had. We still have these conversations. So, it is a delicate balancing act, and, it's all about maintaining that connection. But one of the other things that struck me while you were talking there was this ability to have relationships. And you talked about the relationships with the guys from your Plattsburgh days, from folks at New Hampton that you went to school with. Relationships are the key, and communication and good relationships will always lead to great things. So tell me a little bit more about the relationships that you have and the advice that you would have for parents when it comes to, just having a relationship with Coach Gorman, because, you can reach out to Coach Gorman and just find out, oh, hey, how's little Johnny doing right now? Is he okay temperamentally? Is he fitting in? Right. And those are conversations that Johnny doesn't necessarily have to know about, but you can go back and then get feedback, from your child, and offer them some advice on how to handle maybe a difficult situation. And it creates for more open and more effective dialogue.
Totally. So I send out, right when the team is officially picked in November, I send out a letter that I wrote my first year as head coach, and I tweak it year to year based on things I learn or just maybe language, that I want to add to it. Right. But the main content is the same. And one thing I share with the parents is the communication between myself and them. And I start with, hey, I am always going to answer the phone to discuss your child's mental health, their academics, the matriculation process to junior and college hockey, because I want to be there as an ally for you and your son, right? One thing I don't want to talk about, and sometimes it just happens in a conversation, is the playing time piece. And that's because of the level we're at, right? We're a preparatory school. So I'm trying to prepare them to have these conversations with me, right? And we have meetings, we have a meeting, we have a preseason meeting, mid-season meeting, and then exit meetings. And there's a lot of language around the playing time piece. So I always tell the parents, if you want to know why your son's not playing enough, you can ask them, because they know, right? They might not want to hear exactly what I'm saying, but it's there. In terms of their communication with me, that's something that I open that, and I want them to know that there's my dog there. Hey, lay down. That I want them to know that I'm there for their child. The one thing that I stress to the administration when I applied for the job here, and I stress to my parents every year, is this game is more than just X's and O's to me in getting a player to college hockey. I want them to look back at their time and say, damn, I had a great time. I played pretty well. We won some games. Coach Gorman was the man. He pushed me. He challenged me. There were days I left the rink where I wanted to maybe slash him in the knee, but there was days that I left and I went in there to talk with him about a situation that I was going through, and he was there to listen. And
that's the best you can do, my friend.
That's it.
And as a parent, that's all we can ask for. Right. We can't ask for much more than that, man. Well, Connor Gorman, head coach at New Hampton Prep School. First of all, congratulations to you, and wishing you continued success. I hope to get up there. I haven't been back as much as I'd like to, because I've got to see the new rink, the new gym, and all the new stuff on campus, man. I can't even tell you, words don't explain how grateful I am for the connections like you that we've made through the New Hampton School and the prep school process, and everything, and the way it's enriched our lives, because we're a better family because of the New Hampton family, right? That's become a part of our extended family. Yeah. So thank you for that, my friend. Yeah, man. And thanks for being on the Parental Playbook Podcast, man. We certainly appreciate you. We're going to have you come back, and we'll share some more war stories. And we'll definitely be following you and following your team as you guys try to make it back to Salem. Are they still playing in Salem?
No, we play. We've been doing it at St. Anselm College. Very good. But the Salem was Olympic ice, so maybe that's why we lost in the finals.
There you go. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Connor Gorman from New Hampton School. Connor, thank you so much.